We've lived in Sydney for about a year and a half, and about 2 months ago we moved to Robertson, and it's just the most beautiful little like country town you've ever seen. They call it the green heart of the Southern Highlands. So it's green. It gets a lot of rain, so yeah, it's green and beautiful and quite cold. So it reminds me of Free State back in South Africa. People are really different in the small towns than in bigger areas like Sydney. Everyone's relaxed and helpful, and everyone knows each other. Like everyone's related in some way, and everyone's friends. And for us moving into a space where we don't know everyone, they really just embraced us, and we feel so welcome here.
I'm Dr. Chamonix Blanche, ex-corporate and academical, turned CEO and board member of several companies, and mother of 4 little extraordinary kids. But it wasn't that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the know-how, and the time to focus on designing and really going after the life that I so wanted to live. A life of freedom, of fairness, and of being fair dinkum to who I really was and what I wanted to get out of this fleeting time that we have on Mother Earth. Fast forward to many lessons learned and moving halfway around the world to the most amazing country, you'll see the life that I now live. One that gives me more safety and freedom than I ever thought would be possible, and that really only existed as a daydream while I was living in South Africa. I created Chamonix TV to give you true spot advice on how you can also live a life in this amazing country, and so that you can see how another couple like us now live in Australia with 4 little kids here in Down Under. And I'll be providing you with step-by-step strategies so that you can make your Aussie dream a reality too. If you're a keen future Aussie who's looking to create a life that excites you and offers you safety, freedom, and opportunity, you have come to the right place, my friend. Welcome aboard.
Hi, Lani. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from, I want to say, sunny New South Wales, but it's not so sunny today, is it?
No, it's gloomy and cold, but loving the weather. Yeah.
Now, tell us about this beautiful little town that you guys live in called Robertson. Oh, wait, Robertson.
Robertson, or as they say, Robbo. The Australians have a unique talent of just shortening everything. So yes, we're in Robbo. We've lived in Sydney for about a year and a half, and about 2 months ago we moved to Robertson. And it's just the most beautiful little like country town you've ever seen. They call it the green heart of the Southern Highlands. So it's green. It gets a lot of rain. So yeah, it's green and beautiful and quite cold. So it reminds me of Free State back in South Africa.
And where are you from in South Africa?
Bloemfontein. Grew up in Bloemfontein, studied there, lived there, and my husband grew up in Zastron, about like 180 kilometers from Bloemfontein. So, and then he moved to Bloemfontein when he started his studies, and that's where we met and where we started our life together.
And when did you make the big move? Was that just before you moved to Sydney?
Yes. So we moved in October 2019. So it's been just over a year and a half. So it's quite recent still. Yes, then the rest is history. We made the move to Australia and couldn't be happier.
And why Australia? Like, why not Canada or the UK? And secondly, why Robertson? What happened from Sydney to Robertson?
Yes. Okay. So your first question, why Australia? I think there was a little seed that was planted. My husband got an opportunity to work in Australia for 6 weeks through his job, which didn't happen in the end. But since then, we were like, Australia. It was just as if something happened. And we were like, you know what, do we want to make an international move? Yes, we do. Where do we want to go to? We just briefly spoke about all the countries that are, out there that are opportunities for us. And I think in the end, it's just because Australia has just a fantastic reputation in so many regards. And I think it's the culture shock isn't as big as when you move to like in European country or whatever. So that's what we thought anyway. And that's just how we decided on Australia. And your second question, Robertson. So our whole dream from the beginning was that we want to settle in a tiny town. We want small town living. We don't want hustle and bustle of big city living. But just after we got our visas, my husband started looking for a job, and the job that he got was in Sydney. So we were like, you know what, that's where we need to go. So we went to Sydney, but with the intention of moving to a small town as soon as we could. And then thankfully, our job opportunities changed, our circumstances changed, and then we could move to a small town. So both my husband and I are working from home now. So that's why we could make the move. And it was just the best move ever.
Oh, wow. I love it. I love that you actually wanted to leave the big smoke to go to, I want to say the little smoke. How awesome. Because most people usually chase, the city and all the amenities in there. Is living in a small country town what you thought it would be?
Even more, I can tell you that. Yeah, it's absolutely, people are just different and everything is so relaxed. And I can imagine that it's quite similar to living in a small country town in South Africa too. I lived in Bloemfontein, so I don't really know small town living as well as, for example, my husband does. And he's always spoken about how magical it is to live in a small country town, like the farm style living. And I didn't really know about it, so I just believed him. And it is, and I think what makes it even more magical living in a small town here in Australia versus South Africa is just that it's so safe.
Yeah.
We're out and about every single day. I feel safe walking in the streets and doing, some sightseeing with my kids. We can go anywhere, we can do anything. We're just so free. And yeah, people are just so friendly. People are really different in the small towns than in bigger areas like Sydney. Everyone's relaxed and helpful, and everyone knows each other. Like everyone's related in some way, and everyone's friends. And for us moving into a space where we don't know everyone, they really just embraced us, and we feel so welcome here.
Oh, that's lovely. So tell us about your children. How many do you have, and do they go to school?
Yes, I have two boys. They're quite young still. So my eldest is 5 and my youngest is 3. So when we moved to Australia, they were 1.5 and 3.5. So my eldest does go to kindergarten, which in South African terms is like grade R, or what is it in South Africa?
I don't even know. I only know the Aussie version.
It's kindergarten, and I know that it differs from state to state as well, but it's basically the year before grade 1, before year 1. So he is in primary school, and my youngest goes to a preschool here in town, and it's just like walking distance from our home. Yeah, and they are so happy here. I've seen a massive difference in them as people since making the move to a small town, and they've integrated in their little schools just beautifully. So yeah, they're very happy. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So do you guys walk to their school or do you drive?
We walk some days, but it's really cold most days in winter now. So I'm a bit of a wussy, so we do drive, but when it's not that bad, we walk.
What is the best thing for you about Australia?
So many things that I find about Australia that's just mind-blowing and extraordinary. But I would say the overarching benefit thing would be just the freedom that we have. I mean, I can walk in the street with my phone in my hand, but just having that freedom, and I can take them for bike rides any time of day, anywhere. And you just feel safe. There's so much more things you can do because it's safe and because you have that freedom. And the government, like the councils in Australia, just really do all they can. It feels like that to me. They do all they can to make the public spaces really enjoyable for families and for children. There's just so many amenities. I mean, you'll know like the skating parks and there's just so many things that we can enjoy for free in Australia, and that's also a big thing for me.
Lani, tell me about your job, your and your husband's jobs, and the actual visa that you came over. Did you use an agent, and how did that process work for you?
Yes. Okay. So when we decided that we were coming to Australia, obviously we immediately started reaching out to agents and talking to other people and their experiences, I suppose. But we didn't use an agent, and so we came over on a PR subclass 189, I believe, visa. So we were lucky enough that we got approved for that visa, and I have to give kudos to my husband. He just drove the whole process. So we got our visas, and I think 3 months later we arrived in Sydney. My husband was on the skills shortage list. He is a structural engineer. So the job that he got here in Sydney is slightly different. So he does digital engineering at the moment, which is a big challenge for him, and it's a lot different than what he's used to, but he's growing so much in his role and really enjoying it. And since January this year, I was ready to really jump in and further my career again. So I'm working full-time now from home, as I mentioned, for a digital marketing agency, and I'm a team leader for the content writers.
How exciting. Wow, that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about the facilities in Robbo in terms of things like groceries and any other kind of stuff like clothes and so on. Do you find that there's more than enough for what you need? So variety, I guess. And
yes, variety. So what we find normally in small towns like this, it's a big, like a tourist attraction, I guess, on the weekends and in holidays, a lot of people from the big metropolitan areas move into the smaller towns just to kind of, get a breather. And for that reason, there's a big focus on tourism in these towns. So which means there's a lot of fabulous little shops here. You'll find fresh produce, clothing. I mean, there's what they call a cheesecake factory here just across the street from us, and it has everything from toys to deli, eateries, products. And so yes, you'll find everything here. I mean, we don't have a Coles and a Woolworths in town, but we do have a little fresh produce store, and just love supporting the locals in that way.
Awesome.
So I buy my bread and eggs from someone who lives just nearby. But I mean, a lot of my, the bigger groceries, I just order it online.
When you arrived, that was, you said October 2019. That was literally just before COVID and all the dramas that came after that. How did you guys settle in making friends and finding your feet? Because, okay, obviously you had 4 or so months, no, maybe a bit longer, maybe 6 months before COVID really stepped in. But how was that settling in process for you?
It was not easy, I'm not going to lie. We paint a picture of it's so wonderful, everything is just going fantastic. But the first few months, and I just spoke with my husband about it yesterday, we were just looking back. It's not easy. Despite the fact that everything really works and that everyone is helpful and friendly in Australia, you do still feel kind of anxious because you don't know anything. You can read up as much as you want to, and you can speak to as many people as you can before you come, but it still won't really prepare you for that kind of, the pounding heart feeling when you do arrive here, and you just want to make sure that your kids are okay. They were still so small. So the first few months were there's no time to reach out and make friends in the first few months because there's so much admin stuff that needs to get done. You need to find a place to stay ASAP. You have to sort out all your the government stuff, the Centrelink, this and that. You have to get registered with the ATO, a lot of admin stuff that needs to get done. And it's quite stressful if everything's the first time you're doing it, every single thing. So you ask a lot of stupid questions, but people just help, they're wonderful.
If you could do it all over again, would you do it?
In a heartbeat. And I know a lot of people say oh, I wish I would have just come sooner. But I think we came at the right time because I really love South Africa and I do miss my family. And I'm thankful for the time that we spent, with them when we lived in South Africa. And I can't wait to see them again. But I think it happened in the right time. And it's the single best decision that we ever made for our family moving to Australia.
Oh, that is so beautiful to hear. And you know what? Your children are going to grow up and be so thankful for mum and dad that they actually did this big thing, because it's a massive thing. You know, you take your whole life, uproot it and plonk it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's not easy, but you did that for your children's future and quite frankly for yourself too, because you're still young. You know, you've still got your whole life ahead to live. You don't have to worry about what's over your shoulder, or as you said, you could start your own business and work from home, and it's gradually it just becomes a part of life, and one day you realize, wow, look at all of this, and you know, it's just, yeah, and then you'll be Australian. So any advice for people considering coming to Australia? Do you think they should take the plunge or the leap?
It's, yeah, I would say yes, but I do realize that people's circumstances and their motives differ. But
Mm.
if you are considering it, I would just say, just go for it. Just go for it. And, you know, be prepared that it's not going to be easy every single day. You're not going to come to this amazing country and everything's going to be easy and amazing. You'll miss your people. You'll miss that feeling of familiarity with so many things around you. But yeah, my advice would be just, you know, there's so many opportunities here. It's safe here. It's beautiful here. We've got freedom here. Just take the plunge and do it if you can.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It was just lovely to hear that you guys were brave enough to do the application yourself to start off with, because there is a bit of a misconception. People think that they're not allowed to, or it's too difficult to apply themselves to come to Australia. And no, the answer is no. You most definitely can do it. There will be people out there telling you, oh, you know, you have to use. No, you do not have to use a migration agent. If you're
Exactly.
comfortable doing it yourself, just read through the paperwork. It's all there, as you said. It's really black on white.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but I mean, you're going to do that work anyway if you use an agent or not. The agent is
Exactly
just going to
right.
tell you, listen, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and you're just going to do it anyway. And it's so funny because my my husband has been helping, because he knows the process by now. You know, he's been helping so many other people in South Africa with the process, and there's some who has come over already because he's helped them. So
Oh, lovely.
definitely doable.
Yeah. Yeah, very doable. You just got to be able to read, have
Yes.
an internet connection, you'll be okay.
And the will and the drive, because
Of
what else
course.
I found, that if there's a 2% hesitation in your mind, like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll miss my people too much, maybe it'll be too difficult, then that's going to make things difficult for you, because you're going to have that in your mind. But if you're 110% in it, you'll be able to do it.
Know your why. And remember, you remind yourself, write it down somewhere,
Yes.
because you get to a stage where you're like so happy in Australia after years, and you're like, wow, why did I move over again? And you're like, yes, I do remember now very well. So thank you so much for sharing your story and making it just that little bit easier for other people to know what to expect, and you know, to know that it's possible, even if you have two really young kids which are at a stage of their lives that you know, you can't just explain things to them. They're just sort of plunked into a plane and then they're taken out because they don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But just showing people that it is possible, even with children that age, to come and make success, and then have the opportunity that you have. I love it that you're both working from home and that you're over in Robbo. It's just such a fairy tale kind of scenario. So good on you.
Yes, it is. Thank you. And thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Take care, Lani. We'll talk again.
All right. Talk soon.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
All right, so thank you so much for joining me today. If you had fun, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and then it'll make sure that you never miss a thing. I'll see you same time and same place next week. Bye for now.